Good morning, welcome to a morning review on Monday the 20th of April. This is Kim Watson speaking for Easy Trader. Okay, looking at the euro dollar first, and as you see, last week we had a pretty good week overall. We managed to pull back quite a bit of the losses that had been made in early part of the month. We're now at a situation really could see a bit more of a correction here. We've got the weekly pivot below us, which 1.07 may not be too far away. However, I am still seeing a series of higher lows and higher highs, and this is what I'm looking at as we run through this market. You see this continuation, and we've seen some sort of more positive crosses. The moving averages crossing over a little bit, price getting through the moving averages, and this target of the daily 50 seems forever closer. We haven't done this for such a long time. Yes, it could eventually come down to meet price, but there is a chance that if we can break the upper trend line here, that we could continue pushing on for that sort of level. Short term, well, really, it's in a sort of wedge pattern at the moment. We're seeing break of the higher part of that wedge could see us running up to Friday's highs and maybe a little bit above that. Certainly a possibility. As I say, at the moment in the intermediate sort of short term, it does look more bullish than it had previously. We've had a few days of this now where it looks erring more towards the bullish side. Cable, very similar pattern in terms of what we've seen. And the difference is on the dailies, we did actually run into the daily 50 MA on Friday, and it's seen quite a move from that in terms of sticking this a shooting star in from that point of view and across the pivot there. Now, just looking at trading patterns that you often see, we've got the sort of a right shoulder, the head going on, and we could pull back and stick in, sorry, a left shoulder, should I say right, a left shoulder, the head, and we could pull back and put another shoulder in here, which wouldn't be too much of a surprise. We've got the weekly pivot below us, which often gets hit quite early on. So any sort of sell-off would see that as a potential target. The overall picture, though, is sort of just pushing up here. It's a bit early to be looking on the long side, but maybe if we see a break of that 49.86 area, we could see it push up again back towards the highs. And again, we've seen this series of higher lows as we've been running through here. It got a bit close to breaking the lows on Friday, but overall it has managed the higher highs, higher lows. So it's if it can push up here, break up above these highs here, maybe, as I say, we'll see the R1 and Friday's highs hit. If they're taken out, well, we could yet see further continuation. Of course, we have had quite a few positive up days here, and it wouldn't be surprising to see a consolidation day. That's one thing I'm watching for carefully before jumping in too quickly, and maybe even a bit of a down day and sort of movements back towards that weekly pivot could be buying opportunities maybe in the short term. Okay, dollar yen. Sorry, I was looking at one other thing on Friday in the trading room on the pound. If we did start breaking the highs and break through that 50, I certainly would be more bullish on this market and be trying to ride it even further up, maybe to the prior highs there. So something I was looking at there, just to remind the guys in the trading room what we were talking about. Okay, looking then at the dollar yen, and this has been sitting in this sort of daily wedge pattern that I've drawn on last week. It's eased its way out of that wedge pattern, and it's sort of continuing through the Asian session here to ease its way down. At the moment, it could continue on down towards its monthly S1 area and those prior lows there. Certainly erring towards the downside here, and just like the other currencies, well, the inverted part of the other currencies, we've seen a similar sort of situation with lower highs here and lower lows as we've run through the last week or so. So at the moment, it's looking potential for some continuation of that sort of move. We do have the weekly pivot above us, which if we do see any reversal, could be a target sort of point. At this point in the month, it's a possibility. So any sort of rallies and the break of the upper side here may be the R1, and all the weekly pivot could be targets, or both could be targets. And finally, then the Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar managed really through some good news that had sort of been seen there, managed to get more of a bounce. It had been sort of almost a weakest for some part of the last week, and then suddenly it's taken off and become sort of the strongest, and managed to get back above its daily 50. Consolidation as it sits where we are now. Again, weekly pivot sits below it, so there's a chance if we do see a break down to the downside, it could be a target. But at the moment, it's on this sort of intermediate time, it's still looking relatively. I mean, it was a bit of a different pattern the way it actually ran, but we had some really strong days. But prior to that, it had been consolidating and choppy. But it's still been putting some higher lows in there. Although Friday it's given us a question, because it put a lower low in there at one point, although it only an intraday lower low, but in the main it's been putting higher lows, higher highs. So it's really whether it can break above the R1 here and push on. For me, it's the one that may just run out of legs a little bit here compared to some of the others. It may to some look stronger, but I'm not so sure about it. I'd rather be playing the longs on the probably the pound most likely. Okay, that's it for me. No significant news out today, apart from there's some Canadian data coming out later on. Let me see. The Bank of Canada governors involved in a panel discussion at 3:05, and we just may see some comments in terms of their lack of taking any action to reduce interest rates or do anything there. So may just see something more positive coming out of that for the Canadian dollar. So something to watch for. Okay, that's it for me. Have a great day. Bye for now.